my name's Cordy. This is the same t-shirt as yesterday and there's toothpaste on it, obviously. So I'm someone who's got a Helix HX Stomp and recently got a Podgo. I was watching some videos and stuff. It's worth checking out. There's a guy called Robbie Calvo who did a good video on the cabs of the Podgo. Sounded good and I think was well presented, so check that out. But today I just wanted to do a video talking about where I might start. And so like if the Podgo's new to you, how you can set it up, sort of my favourites in each kind of slot and cabs that you might want to check out and that sort of thing. I think the fairly kind of common shared opinion is that you don't necessarily get a terrible amount of good stuff out of the factory presets, although it might be worth checking out some of those and see if there's any that are close to what you like. There's a Chris Buck one which is pretty cool. That's about as much as I bothered really to explore. But generally you'll have your own preferences for what you like, or you might have someone who potentially makes presets and you know that consistently they make presets that are in line to what you like to hear. Hopefully I fall into that category, but who knows, there's probably other people as well. I think it's definitely worth checking out building a preset from scratch. So if you if you press this top knob and go into the preset list, you can see there's basically the user preset list or the factory. This morning what I decided to do was go and start making my own complete from scratch presets in this user list. One of the cool things about the Podgo as well is I think you've got twice as many preset slots as the HX Stomp. I think that's true anyway. So you'll see that the first amp that is set up as standard is the US double norm. So I'm going to leave that as it is just for now, and let's talk about my favourite delays for the second, because I think a good clean or a good lead generally needs a good delay. So one of the better ones I think is the Elephant Man, but how I set this up is the chorus is a bit full on, so I turn that depth down to sort of about 1 or maybe below, and then I would turn the mix down from there to about 35 maybe, or 30 depending on your preference, and the feedback up a bit. So feedback here is at 56%. Other delays that I like to use are the dual delay, depending on how much you want going on, but you could have like a ping pong kind of style effect, or dual at different times and all that sort of stuff. So, but for this we're just going to use the Elephant Man because it's a good one. Then reverb, I think it's probably, if you know my channel at all, you know I like the glitz. I set the decay down to about 5, pre-delay I turn off, and then the mix I turn down to about 18. So now we've got a delay and a reverb. So you might also then want to use snapshots so if I'm going to put on snapshot D here, what I might do is bypass the delay for that, and then on snapshot C I'd have the delay come on, so I've got an option to turn off the delay. What else could we add? I added a compressor earlier on. My favourite compressor I think is the Rochester comp. But there's quite a boost in volume, so I'd leave everything the same, except I would turn the level down to about maybe +3 or +5. Let's see what happens. Maybe a bit less, so maybe +3 or 3.5. Just so it's not boosting the signal too much. Everything else I'd keep the same, but that's a really nice sounding compressor. And I'd also put that in the slot the second available slot, so let me just move that. So for now, our preset is going to be, we've got our Memory Man delay, Elephant Man, the Glitz reverb, and the Rochester compressor. So I think that sounds pretty decent already. So then, in terms of distortion or overdrive, the clon works really nicely. So what I would do now is I'd have A will be the clon on, C, which is my clean with delay, will be clon off, D will be clon off. So D now is my clean setting without delay, C is clean with delay, A is with the Minotaur or clon. And I just leave that basically at the stock settings for now. And then B, what I'll do is that will also be the clon on, but what I'm going to do is hold in the leftmost button, and if you hold it in and turn, you can basically create a snapshot where that changes the parameter of the gain. So I would boost the gain on that to maybe like 8.5, or even further if you want a bit more. So one of the cool things is that Line 6 have over the years kind of adjusted their kind of automatic, the settings that come on each specific model or block that you put in, and generally now I find that you don't have to tweak things too far from where they already are to get kind of. So A is my gain slightly up, C is clean and delay, D is just clean, and then B will be my basic solo tone. So I think if you follow those settings, you can pretty quickly get to a stage where you're playing kind of, I think, with a decent, nice tone. You don't need to mess with any EQ blocks or anything like that. So you can immediately just start playing and stop worrying about things a little bit. Now, one other thing that is worth checking out, I think, are the cabs. So you can mismatch cabs, and generally I think it's good to find 2 or 3 cabs that you really like the sound of. One of the biggest things you can do to kind of change the character of a tone is to change the cab. So let me just, this is the matched 2x12 cab, and I'm gonna change it to basically a Vox style cabinet. So I've got it on the 2x12 silver bell now. So a cab can make quite a big difference. Let's try just another one. That was one that I found earlier on that I quite liked. 1x12 Cali 4. I'm going to change the ribbon mic to the 4038. Distance I'll have at 1.5. Early reflection I'm going to turn up to about 10. So I think this should have quite a bit more bass just because of the cab and mic combination. Cabs can be one of the things that probably make sort of the largest impact, I think, on your tone. So maybe take some time to sort of make a note of ones that you like the sound of. The 1x12 Cali I like. 2x12 silver bell. Sounds pretty good to me. 2x12 match G25. The 4x12s don't necessarily always sound to me any bigger per se, so I prefer the sounds, I think, of the 2x12s and the 1x12s, but you'll probably find whatever works for you. The ribbon mics are good. The 4038 has quite a bit more bass, so if you just... So this is switching between the 160 rhythm and the 4038. So maybe if you're finding, like perhaps if you were using in-ears, or you're finding you're like missing some kind of bass kick, the 4038 ribbon might be a good option for that. The other thing to note is that there's an 8 kHz cut by default on all of the cabs. You might want to experiment with that. For clean tones particularly, I quite like to open that back out a bit, just because I think it adds in a bit more sparkle, but you can adjust that to taste. In global settings, there's this 2 screens where you've got ins and outs and preferences, which has got like a little person on it. The first option is link amp and cab. So what I suggest is you could find a cab that you like the tone of and go into global settings and turn off that cab link, and then you could just literally switch between different amps. So you could turn off that setting, and then you can literally pick a cab that you like and then just scroll through the different... the different kind of amp options and find one that you like. That's what I think I'm going to try doing some more of. That's how I would start with the Line 6 Podgo. I guess they've put that Fender Twin as kind of the default for kind of a reason, but those are the things that I place around it. So a Memory Man, the Glitz Reverb, a Klon, so the Minotaur, then also the Rochester compressor, but put that after the overdrive. I think you get a bit of a better response, and then experiment with changing up the cabs. And then once you found a cab and a sound that you like, perhaps then you could start experimenting with the different amp models. So amp models that I really like, Line 6 Litigator, which I've talked about quite a lot. I also really like the German Mahadeva, which is like a JTM 45 Bogner Shiva. The Fullerton Jumped sounds really good. There's loads of great amps, but I think it's easier to hear the character of each of the amps when you're auditioning them with the same cab. Just some ideas. So hopefully that was vaguely interesting and gets you some ideas about what you could try. These presets that I put together today will be in my folder. So these presets will be in my folder that I've been playing around with this morning. There's 3 with different cab choices. They're all called JC Twin A, B and C. But you can get an idea of how I put those together if you like the sound of those. But yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully you got something useful out of this. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be cool. Or you could use the Buy Me a Coffee link if you got something out of this video and you wanted to support my channel. But thank you for watching. Only do that if you can actually afford it as well. It's not a hard sell. Definitely don't feel like you have to. But yeah, that was just what I've been messing around with the Podgo today. And you know, if I was starting from scratch, what would I do? And I think it's fairly easy to achieve. A pretty decent sounding tone, I think. So thank you for watching.